I would just say, like, I'm a normal person like everybody else. I live a normal life. I never let Hollywood get to my head. So I'm a people's person. I love people. I love hanging out. I love chilling. Um, I could be here or there, but, you just got to keep your sanity. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm a people's person.
Yeah.
That I just love people. So I love to give back. I love to motivate. I love to inspire, encourage, let people know that they can do it, but only if they want to do it. That's a whole other speech because you got to make that choice for yourself, et cetera, et cetera. But I just let people know, like, if I did it, some kid from the streets, grew up homeless. It took me 8 years to get my first film. It was no walk in the park. I never say I was the craziest or anything like that, but I did gangbang and I did my gangster stuff or whatever. Again, not saying I was the craziest in the streets, but I've been there, done that. I was facing 15 years for attempted murder, assault with a deadly weapon, gang enhancement, violation, everything. This was probably 1997, 98. So I made my future harder because I made some bad choices, not thinking about it when I was younger. So I'm the one who put up my own speed bumps and my own roadblocks in my own life growing up. So Noel G is just a people's person to sum it up. I just say that. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, I talk like
No.
how we would talk in private, like no one's listening.
No. Okay. So I'm gonna be real with you. I was in trouble with the law as well, and I understand that sort of having that moment of reckoning with yourself and just being sitting in a cell, and I was pulled away from my daughter and just being like, I never want to be here again. When it comes down to that, do you have any sort of experiences like what I've just told you? What was it, like you said that you were in trouble and getting into trouble? What caused you to do that? Was it in your adolescence? Like, was there any sort of like trauma at home? You said that you were homeless. Why were you homeless?
One of the things is that when I was a kid, I was filled with a lot of hate, anger, misunderstanding. Why is this happening to me? Victim card, and because of that, I acted out of anger, hate, just not caring. And sometimes we need to reach our bottom point before we look up to know that there's something better for us. So sometimes I would say, like, I love when people cry, for example, because crying is actually a healing. You got to let that out. The more you don't let that out, the more unforgiveness and hate could settle inside of you. And one day you can make the one wrong decision that turns life. So you got to learn how to, channel it and find it, tame it the best you can, I guess you could say, right? And we all been there. I always tell people it's when you're slamming doors, you're fighting and you're hitting people. That's when, or sometimes it even leads into murder, unfortunately. That's when you're talked out, solutioned out, said enough, and now it goes to the next level because you've had too many conversations. You talked about it too many. Now it's like, and you just like you lose your damn mind, right?
Yeah.
So I try to get people to avoid that because that's the one decision that could take your whole life backwards, and then we end up in jail. And now we're thinking, why am I here? And but sometimes that's a good thing. I don't think jail is such a bad thing sometimes because I think sometimes that's how we do get our wake up call. Like we need to know when enough is enough. And sometimes, but the other side of that too is you can only help someone who wants to be helped. If someone's playing the victim card too long, it's just someone will take a free ride as long as you give them a free ride.
Yes. So going through all of that and what you've been through.
We're sending you back in time.
What led you to acting? What was it that inspired you to become an actor?
Yeah, so it was funny, like with the acting thing, I never wanted to be an actor, even thought about it. I had a girlfriend. She wanted to be an actress at the time.
Okay.
And I was
How old
living with
were
her.
you?
I was 15.
Okay.
And so one day she asked me to go to this acting class with her. And I was living with her at the time. So I did whatever it is she said because I just wanted to live in a home, right? And one day I go to this acting class, literally right place, right time. Never been to an acting class a day in my life. I was in there and I was acting a class clown. There was a producer who was scouting talent. And he said, hey, man, you're funny. I want to put you in a commercial. And I was like, all right. I thought he was on some BS, whatever. It ended up being real. 2 weeks later, I ended up doing a commercial for Taco Bell. It ended up being a true deal, right? So I don't know if you know this, but the way they pay you for acting is every time they show the commercial, you get a check. So, like, if they show the commercial 10 times in one day, that's 10 checks. And I didn't know that. I was 15 years old. I was ignorant to residual income. I didn't know what residual, I thought it was a computer mess up. So I started getting all these checks, and I was cashing them. I had my story for court. I was going to say, they kept on paying me. I was just cashing them. I didn't know any better, right? So when it started getting a little weird, I called up the producer, and I said, why I keep on getting paid for this commercial? And he goes, no, that's how actors get paid. I said, what? I said, well, I want to be an actor. And that's how the acting got started. So then he hooked me up with a manager friend of his. And he's like, I like you, man. I'm going to hook you up with this manager guy that I know. So I go and meet this manager. I go in like this. I don't know nothing from nothing.
Yeah.
And he's like, I like you, man. I'm going to see what I can do for you. And everything he sent me out on was Gangster 1, Gangster 2, Trigger. I'm like, I thought I was here to act. I grew up like this in real life. And so it's how I started becoming kind of like one of the bad guy Latinos in Hollywood and started doing a lot of. So that's how the acting started. So my point is, never looked for it, never thought about it. And I was just literally a right place, right time story, and that's how the acting kicked off. So I do say this last thing. I say that so I can honestly say when I got into acting at first, I did it straight up for the money because I never made that much money so quickly. And I went from like nothing to like bling bling overnight. But then as I started doing the acting, I drew a real love and passion for it because I think it's one of the most funnest jobs in the world. It's never the same thing. It's always in a different place. We're always meeting different people. And so now I love it. You know, the money's just a bonus now. The hardest part is probably memorizing lines, you know, stuff like that. Sometimes you get some paragraphs, but I tell people there's an easy way to memorize. If you know what the scene is about and what it is you're supposed to be talking about, that's what makes it easier to memorize lines. But now I've been doing it for over 30 years, so it's kind of like second nature to me.
Yeah.
But memorizing lines is one of the toughest things sometimes. But even that has become easier. You know, anything becomes easier as you're like.
Practice makes perfect.
Exactly. Like when you do your next interview and your next interview and your next interview, you're just going to be better and better and better until one day it's like, damn, she's the best.
Hopefully.
If no one's going to give you an opportunity, then you give that opportunity to yourself. And you make it happen. You create your own energy. You know what I'm saying? So I always tell people, just do it. Because the more you do it, whether it's on a small, medium, or big scale, doing it is doing it. And that's always going to help you.
Yeah, definitely. And do you...
And give you experience, and then you'll start meeting other people around what you love doing, and then that's how you start to grow, and then you're like, damn, all of a sudden I know this person, because someone always knows someone that wants to hook you up with someone.
We found a substitute for the sweet roll.
And it goes in style.
Well, there's two ways to help. One is, you know, if you do an event and you just speak on a platform or to 1,000 people, then you help, and whoever takes your knowledge takes it, and whoever doesn't take it doesn't take it. And then if you're helping individually, personally, that's a whole different story. You know what I mean? Because you're actually taking your time with that person. But one thing that I learned in life is always know who you're helping and why. Because sometimes you might think you're helping someone and you're helping the wrong person. You could be their crutch as opposed to really sincerely helping them.
Has that ever happened to you?
Yes, and that's how I learned that. So, you know, one example is when I got into acting, I used to try to hook up a lot of the homeboys from the neighborhood. And we were trying to put gangsters in TV shows and movies and stuff and just giving them a chance. Everyone had a good speech, but they weren't about their speech. Not everyone, but more than less, right? So my point is I was helping people. And what ended up happening, I'm like, hey, man, I'm going to put you in this movie, hook you up with so-and-so, and I'm going to get you going. And then I found out that I was being backstabbed. They were two-facing me, talking behind my back because they were trying to get over on me and steal my connect or whatever, when I'm the one who connected, as opposed to being like, Noel's a great guy, he hooked me up. Like, it was all these terrible things that were happening, right? So that taught me something. Know who you're helping before you help anyone. You got to do a heart check and a personality check first before you help anyone. I charge people if they want help in the acting because now I don't care if you quit. At least I got paid for my time.
Yeah.
So my point in saying that though is there's different kind of helping. You know, there's Broadway helping where you do a speech and you help everybody, and who takes your knowledge, cool, and who doesn't, cool, whatever, they walk away. then there's genuinely helping someone. Where like if I did a heart check and a personality check with you first, and I know that your heart's in the right place, your mind's in the right place, I'll genuinely help you because I've got to know you so well that I know that I'm not being played, or I know you're real about what you're saying. So yeah, I'm gonna help you because I've got the time to know you, to know that you're real.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're one of those people just want to come in, get some stuff and bounce, nah, you gonna pay.
Yeah, because card hard cash, fucking, it does it all. It does it all.
Well, it doesn't do it all, but it does a lot.
It does. I mean, I can only speak for myself, I guess, first and foremost. But so going on to like
My pastor showed me a good example. I'll give you this small example. We were in a gas station one time, and I'll never forget this. Homeless guy. This is a true story. We're in a gas station one time. Homeless guy comes up, and he said, "Hey, can I get some money?" You know, and my pastor pulled out some money and said, "Of course you can get some money." He goes, "What are you going to use the money for?" And the guy goes, "I'm going to get a smoke and a drink." And my pastor goes, "Ooh." He goes, "That was the wrong answer. If you would have said you were going to get a sandwich and a Gatorade, I would have gave you the money. But I can't give you the money for a smoke and a drink." And he put the money back in his pocket, and the guy walked away cussing him out. And I'm just making a point, but like, it's little things like that. Like, sometimes you think it's the right act to give a homeless guy money, but it's not the right act sometimes, because that homeless guy who you don't even know, and you gave him the money with the right intentions, but he's using it to go get drugs. So you didn't help him. You crutched him.
Yeah, with that analogy, if you feel comfortable answering, are you sober? Do you drink?
No, I don't. I do drink right here. Water and Sprite.
Water and Sprite.
I'm playing. I know. I'm playing. No.
We're not gonna catch it with a Modelo in your hand.
You might catch it with a Corona in my hand.
Oh, okay, all right.
That's a whole other
story.
Varies.
But it varies. Did you ever have a problem with addiction?
Yes. Let me give you the drinking answer. So, to each their own. And I never push my belief upon anyone else. To each their own. Your belief is your belief. That belief is that belief. That belief is that belief. My belief is my belief, right? The way that I believe is drinking is a sin when it's abused and it starts influencing your decisions. So if you drink and now you become part two of yourself because of the alcohol, then that's when it's a sin, because now the alcohol has been abused, and furthermore, it has taken over the normal decisions that you wouldn't make without the alcohol. Because I used to drink a lot, and there's a noble message and a godly message. Noble message is, don't drink, and I used to be an alcoholic, and like that. Because they say, "Hi, my name's so and so. I'm an alcoholic," or "I've been an alcoholic for 5 years."
Yeah.
But you're speaking that into your system when you say I'm an alcoholic. So God's way is speaking it out of your system. My name's Noel. I am no longer an alcoholic. I do not like alcohol. You have to speak it out of your system, because whatever you entertain inside of you could start to live inside of you and then live outside of you and then become who you are.
How do you identify? Are you Christian, Catholic?
I'm Christian, but I don't believe in religion. I believe in a personal relationship with God, because when you say quote unquote religion, I believe religion was a system and then if you feel like I can't keep up with the system, why am I doing it anyways? And the reason why I don't believe in religion, I only believe in a personal relationship, is because when I stand before God, it's just going to be me and God, and I'm going to have to answer for myself. It's not going to be me and a priest, me and mommy and daddy, me and my best friend, me and whoever, the head dude of the system, whatever system you're following. It's just going to be you and God, and you're going to have to answer for yourself the way I'm going to have to answer for myself. And that's why I don't believe in religion. I believe in a personal relationship with God. I asked my pastor one day, and tell me if you would agree with this answer. I said, "Do you have to go to church, like, to be saved or serve God, or like, do you got to go to church?" And he said, "Absolutely not." He said, "You can never go to church one day in your life, and you can absolutely go to heaven." But he goes, "Let me tell you why I wouldn't recommend it, though. I wouldn't recommend it, though, because by being in church, you hear the message, it strengthens you. You got to hear the Word of God. You got to be fed the Word of God, because that's like your food that's in you or whatever, right? So when you continue to hear the Word of God and you put yourself around people who know the Word of God, That's what strengthens you in your walk in the Word of God, because you're hanging out with other people who believe the same way as you.
So it's like a group therapy almost.
Not a group there, but once again, it's a personal
It's a personal
relationship,
thing,
but it doesn't mean that you can't hear someone else's story that can help you.
Mhm.
Make sense?
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a group therapy, because again, it's your own personal relationship with God. So you got to figure out whatever's going on with you. You got to figure that out with God and you. But getting advice, from here, there, or there, with someone who knows the Word of God, and you reading the Word of God yourself to know that whatever that person is saying is correct.
Mhm.
It's like this. You got a best friend?
Yes.
What's your best friend's name?
Her name is Kelsey Casper.
Kelsey Casper? How long has she been your best friend for?
She's been my best friend ever since. She's been my best friend ever since I threw a script at her in high school, and she was like, "I don't want to be in your crew."
So you guys been friends for like what?
For since
15,
for
20 years?
15, 20, 17 years, something like that.
And you know your best friend like nobody else does, right?
Oh yeah,
because
definitely.
you spent
She's
that
my
intimate
sister.
time with her, and you guys.
She's my sister. She's my daughter's godmother.
So if I was to tell you like Kelsey Casper is hooked up on cocaine and she steals, what would you say to me right now?
I'd fucking beat the shit out of her.
But if I was to tell you that though, and you know her, was that true or not?
No.
It's not true, right?
No,
Because
not
you know
true.
her.
Yeah.
So there's my point. When you know God, no one can talk about who you know, because you got to know him so personally. You'll know that he's the liar instead of God being the liar.
Definitely.
And that's what helps your walk. So you got it. Like, it's like this. If someone came to your house and knocked on your door, right? Let's say some guy came to your house, knocked on your door, and you answer. You never seen this guy before in your life. You don't know him, right?
Mhm.
And he says, "Hey, can I come in and take a shower and eat some food?" What are you gonna say?
No.
Why?
Because I don't know him.
Exactly. So that's how it's gonna be when you try to enter heaven. Heaven is God's home, and when you say, "God, can I come into heaven?" Just say no, because I don't know you, because you never took the time to get to know him down here. There's a life lesson in life. If it feels wrong, it's wrong. We started the production company, which is to make movies that give the hopeless hope and let people understand God for who he really is, and let people know that, again, I never push my belief upon anyone else. To each their own. I'm just sharing. You could listen to me or not listen to me. You could say F you and walk away, or you could like whatever. Like, I never push. But one thing with God is that when you get saved and you start serving God, you're meant to share the good news. You share the good news of God because you want people to hopefully listen or take an ear to it. Selfishly, I would love people to serve God correctly and start a relationship with God. That's me being selfish. But at the end of the day, it's the choice of the individual to decide to do it or not do it, care or not care. You get what I'm saying?
Definitely.
So that's why I never push once again. But I let people know a better understanding of God, because this is one problem that a lot of people do. We share a lot of our problems with people who have just as many problems as we do, and we expect good advice. You're not going to get a clean cup of water from a dirty well. So sometimes people will go and they'll share their problems with someone else who is as jacked up as them and expect that they're going to get good advice to do right in their life. So, the best way to explain is like in the war, a soldier complains to the captain. A captain complains to the general. The general complains to the vice president, and the vice president to the president. So problems go up. They don't go sideways or down. And so, that's why God is the CEO of our life. So when you share your problems with God, then you're going to get better advice. I would say more so than someone else with as many problems as you. My first movie that was ever in theater was The Animal with Rob Schneider and Adam Sandler. Had a small little part in that. It was only like 2 or 3 lines. And I remember when it was first in theater, I went and watched that movie in theater like 5 times. Because I just wanted to go see my part, you know what I mean? Because I was just excited. I mean, to me that was so big and so huge. Like, who would have thought that I would have ever been in a theater, in a movie, in front of people, right?
Yeah.
So I always went to go watch it to hear the crowd's reaction, But then I'm not going to lie, it's still exciting to this day. Like I said, I love the business. The thing that I hate about the business is the hypocrisy in the business. But long story short, it's one of the funnest businesses in the world because, again, it's never the same thing. You're always in a different place. You always meet different people. So, of course, you get excited, to do something after something else, after something else, after something else. Of course, you get excited because it's just a fun thing. It's acting, it's fun. So when I do more and more and more, I love it, and what I love about it too is that it again. I'm not Kevin Hart of the Rock, but it quote unquote give you a certain platform to share the belief.
But also having, like, because you've been casted in so many prolific movies.
I know. I say I'm like the Mexican Where's Waldo. That's how I say it, like in Hollywood, straight up.
Mexican Where's Waldo.
Pretty much.
That's actually pretty cool. No, but like also building friendships with people who are untouchable, basically. How does that feel? Like,
See, it's funny when people say that too, and I get where you're saying it from your point of view. I get it 100%. But it's funny though, because with us, it's just work. So it's like you already know them as a normal person because you know them as a normal person.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's not like, oh my God, I know so and so, and you know them because it's like the way I talk to them, I talk to you. It just showed. I mean, right there. It just showed you. Like, you never know until you ask. You never know what you're gonna get until you make the attempt or try. You gotta. I tell people, look, I worked in a convalescent home when I was 19 or 20 years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they did a survey. They asked everybody over 65 years old, if you can go back and change something about your life, what would you have done differently? You know what over 83% of the answers were? They said they would have took more risks and more challenges in their life because now they're 65 and older, and we were wondering, could have I owned that clothing store? Could have I became that doctor I wanted to be? Could have I owned that business? Could have I became that reporter that I wanted to be? Could have I become that actor, actress, or singer that I wanted to be? I tell people, man, what's the worst that someone could tell you? No. You know what I mean? Like, you got to take risks. You got to take challenges. You got to make yourself comfortable being uncomfortable by taking the chances that you thought, you know what I mean? Like, I don't care. So it's just like a little spider right there joining the interview. But you gotta take those chances because until you try, you'll never know.
I agree 100%. One thing I always say is, like, you gotta put yourself in uncomfortable situations because if you don't, then you're never gonna grow.
100%. And there you go. So that, and it's not that I ain't gonna lie. I'm not Kevin Hart of the Rock. I always use them as my example.
Tasty. Hot. Wow. He works. Glass works.
So what do you got going on right now? I've been watching your stories. I know you're in production, but
yeah. So right now I'm filming a movie. I just wrapped up. I'm filming the TV show The Mayans.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, and then I got another television show that I'm working on, another movie. So another one coming up with John Travolta and the Migos.
Okay.
I don't know if you know the Migos.
Yeah.
In there. Yeah.
That's cool. That's awesome. And as you're getting older,
I tell people, man, like, when I'm not filming dead or in a hospital, I'm free because my job is crazy, right? One day I'm working and one day I'm not.
Mhm.
So when I have free time, like, whatever, like, let's go, let's do this.
Yeah, super
we here.
Cool.
Go ahead.
Fourth wall broken. Well, I mean, I think that kind of wraps it up. Is there any last words you want to put out?
I would just say, thank you for your time. I appreciate you. Thank you for, you got to remember stuff like this too, makes me happy because I'm like, oh man, like people still care. My manager made a joke one day. He said, it's when they stop asking for you, that's when you got to worry. So he's like, as long as they're still asking for you, don't worry, you're good. And I'm like, and they're still asking for me. So thank God. So I tell people, like, I say, just get to know God for real.
Okay.
And that means that you yourself would have to spend your own intimate time with God the way you have spent your own intimate time with your best friend to really know who God is. And how do you do that? You read his word, you pray, you worship, and I say if you can talk, you can pray, because that's all praying is talking to God. So I always say, you're never going to get to know God unless you spend that personal, intimate time with him uninterrupted. That means no Instagram, no phone, no TV, just you and God, and get to know him. Read the word. And when you read the word, not only read, but learn something with whatever it is that you're reading.
When Paul Walker passed away, how did that make you feel?
No, it hurt, man. Paul Walker was a good dude, humble dude. He didn't care if you were the craft service or the wardrobe or the director on the movie. He treated everybody the same. Most humble heart. Yeah, it hurt. I don't think the franchise is the same anymore, really, without him. It's hard. But yeah, losing him was a tough battle.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Now you in the game.
So my last words would be this, and I'm done. I say, always put God first in your life, and the rest will work itself out. So that would be my last words. And be genuine about it. And that's it. And follow me on my Instagram, actor Noel G. Keep up with me. Love you guys. And I just want you guys to know that if I did it, you can do it. So that's what's up. Much love and positivity. Stay encouraged, stay inspired, and go out there and do it. And sometimes you got to be your biggest cheerleader. So believe in yourself, because that's all it takes to make it. And I always say this last thing: there's only one way you can fail in life, and that's if you quit in life. If you never quit, you're never going to fail. Whether it takes 1 year or 10 years, you can do it.